Alright, you guys, welcome to Small Business Photography. I am so excited that you joined me this afternoon. I know you have a ton of choices, so I'm just so happy that you are here. The biggest thing that I want you guys to get out of today is I want you to walk away with a lot of value. Your brains have been stuffed full of all kinds of information throughout the course of the past 2 days. So what I want you to do is I want you to kind of clear the clutter, and I want you to try to be a sponge today and soak in what I'm going to say, because most of you are going to be right there with me. There's going to be times where I might say something that either blows your mind, or you're like, I have no idea what she's talking about. So your job is just to be a sponge and soak in what I'm saying, okay? So everyone who's going to be a sponge, yes? Our brains away. Raise your hand so I know. Wave your hand. Woo! Woo! There we go. Okay, yeah. If you guys let me talk the whole time, I will. So the more you can interact, the better. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to turn to the person next to you. If there's nobody next to you, go find somebody to be the person next to you. I want you to introduce yourself, and I want you to tell them your biggest takeaway from the workshop so far. So anything from the past 2 days, what has been the thing that has given you the most value? So make a new friend, tell them what you found. Think of Sir Elton John, Cyrissa. Never forget it now. And this is my amazing intern, Katie. You guys have probably seen her helping me carry our lovely hashtag sign around. As you heard yesterday, for those of you that were here, Instagram is totally my thing. So I'm all about hashtags. So this girl, she's going to be taking pictures. If you've got questions, you can kind of shout them out to her, and she'll pass them up to me if you don't want to shout them out to the group. But it was so cute as you guys were all talking. She and I were both like, because we just love seeing people engaged and happy and processing, because I know your brains are so full. So sometimes it's really nice to have a moment to like process what you've been learning. As I've sat through some of the other workshops, I've actually really enjoyed taking and gleaning some of the things that they've been sharing with us, because what we're going to be doing today in the small business photography course is we're actually going to be taking all of those things and putting them into a pretty little package, literally a pretty little package that you can put on social media. By the end of our 45 minutes together, we'll actually have crafted a post that you can share on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you are at, so that way you can provide value to your audience. Because I think the thing that I've been hearing, and this is one of the things that I preach all the time, is give value, give in abundance, give. Because if I'm up here like, look at me, look what I can do, look at this, look at me, you're going to get tuned out. And that's what your audience does. So it's so important to remember to give value, and that's what we're going to be doing today. So if you're not already on the website, you can go ahead and jump on there. So I told you I want to have high value today. So as I'm going through some of this content, if you have a question, you don't even have to raise your hand, just shout it out. I taught elementary art for 10 years, so I'm used to this and shouting out and getting up. So if you need to get up and take a sensory break, if you need to sit on the floor, it's cool. Do what you need to do to get the most out of this. But if you have questions, please do not be intimidated. I know photography can be intimidating. My goal is to make it really accessible for you. So if you've got a question, by all means, shout it out, tell Katie, pass it up to me somehow, okay? Told you I spent 10 years in the classroom. One of my very favorite things, and this is one of the hardest things about leaving the classroom, so I do now do photography and workshops full time, was leaving my students behind. I had a group of what I called shutterbugs. I think there were 4th and 5th grade digital photography club. Those kids got their photos on our local news stations. They did stuff in our year. I mean, 4th and 5th graders, and they were totally rocking their photography world. So I'm confident if I can teach them, I can teach you, and you can do this, okay? So don't let anything I say today intimidate you. All right, my husband synced this to my computer, so yes, it works. Okay, technology and I don't always get along. So as we're going through today, what you need to know is Instagram is my favorite. What I want you to do is I would love for everyone to grab their phone, and I would love for you to download a word art app. Now, Katie and I were just checking these out. Word Swag, I think it was $3.99. A Beautiful Mess was $1.99. Or was that 99 cents? 99 cents. And Over is $1.99. I personally think I have all three of them. Word Swag is my favorite. If you are active on Twitter, I think Word Swag is going to be the most efficient one for you because you can actually see A Beautiful Mess and Over do work in a square ratio, which we'll talk about in a minute. And we all know Twitter, at least for the preview, is more like a panoramic style. If you're in Word Swag, you can actually see those guidelines. So if I were you, I would download one of those apps because it's going to be highly valuable for you. If you already have an app that you like to use, that's totally fine. If you just want to be a sponge and soak it in, that's cool too, okay? So if you are tagging anything today, by all means use that hashtag #worksworkshops, and there is the lovely spelling up there. All right. So why this course? I'm a photographer and a teacher by trade, and I love that. Back in this past November, has anybody ever heard of Creative Live? You like Creative Live courses? Yeah, awesome. I met someone last summer. She's big into Instagram. She was teaching a 3-day webinar out in San Francisco. So I got my booty in that audience, that live audience. We had like a web audience of like 20,000 people. It was incredible. It's just like the synergy there was amazing. And I was on stage teaching my little segment. Well, what happened is during that workshop, Sue was teaching, and she has a product-based company as well. She's a storefront. And so she was talking about photographing her products. And as she was up there, she just said, "Hey, Cyrissa, is there anything you want to add to this?" And I was like, "Well, you know, I can show you how I would photograph it." And so I showed them just how I would do this ring, how I would stage it, posted the photo to Instagram, and then I sat back down in my seat. Well, you guys, when I sat back down in my seat, my Instagram feed blew up. It was like, what about this? How did you do this? Why did you? And it was like, oh my gosh, I wasn't just connecting with other photographers, I was connecting with small business owners like yourselves, or bloggers like yourselves, who are sitting there looking at your phone or your DSLR, and you're like, what the heck do I do with this thing? Because you do not have time, probably, to take a photography course. You don't have time to sit online for hours and hours and hours. So that was what made me realize, like, oh my gosh, there is a huge need for this course. There's a huge need to show you guys how you can quickly and easily, on your smartphone, take good photos that is easy and accessible for you, and appealing to your audience, because if you have better photos, you're going to really have better sales or better conversion rates on your website. We've all seen that come into play, right, on our sites. Or you've been on an Etsy site or an eBay site, you see a photo and you're like, that's sketchy looking. And if you see those photos, you're most likely turned off. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn to increase the quality of our photos today. Yeah?
Yeah.
Are you awake? Yes? Okay, good. I love it. Some of you are sitting here like smiling at me. Makes my heart happy. Okay. So on the web, oh my, those colors. This is a lot prettier in person. Hopefully you guys have it on your computer screen. So go ahead, scroll down, you'll see this on your website. Go ahead and click on it so it pops up. If I did it right, it pops up. I am a WordPress newbie, so don't try to make it does it. Did it pop up on your computers? Yes. Okay. So this is going to be the 5 tips that we are going to walk through today in class. You also need to know, I'm going to give you the base level because that's what we have time for. If after class you're like, man, I want to go more into depth into these things, I do have a course. The link is on that webpage. It's not why I'm here. I'm not here to hustle. But if you find this valuable, you are more than welcome to join me for that course. And there is a coupon code on the website. That's good till tomorrow night. So we're going to be going through these 5 tips. So if you've got that up on your screen, we're going to start going through our course here. All right, so the biggest thing that I see, because I teach a lot of workshops, and the biggest thing that I see is people get their cameras in their hands and they're like, oh my gosh, what if I miss the shot? Oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm doing. And they like panic. What I encourage them to do is just stop. Stop for a moment and think. Yeah.
Domain? Your domain, please.
Oh, here, let me get back to it. It is Immerse Workshops / Word. I think it's WordCamp 2015. Is that what you guys have?
Thank you.
No problem. So they tend to like just panic, and when you are all in that panicked mode, you can't think what I want you guys to do is the next time you start to have those cluttered thoughts and those, oh my gosh, I can't do this thoughts, just stop. Just take a breath. We have this joke in the photo world that if you have a client, like family, and you're photographing them and you're starting to get flustered, you're like, hey, I want you guys to hold hands and just walk that way. Just keep walking, because they're like, oh, we get the pretty holding hands picture. But in your head, you're like, I can do this, all right? And that's what I want you guys to do. Just stop and think. Don't panic, because if you think through this, you're going to be able to do it, okay? So these are the 6 little tips that we're going to talk through today. You're going to see them on your slide in front of you. The first thing is you're going to want to pick a superstar. The second thing, find good light. The word photography actually means to draw or to paint with light. So that should tell you immediately how important light is to photography. It's all about the light. So you're going to find your good light, set your stage, upgrade your camera. We're going to talk about how to upgrade it on your phone, okay? Not necessarily going out to buy a brand new camera. You can do it on your phone. Remembering your ratio and then sharing it like a boss. So we're going to talk through all of those things. Before I go any farther, any questions so far? We good? Anybody panicking? No? Okay, so here's what I want you to do. I want you to turn to your buddy, the one that you just talked to a minute ago, and I want you to tell them the biggest frustration you have with photography. Go. What are your biggest frustration? Or what stresses you out the most?
Yeah.
What about if you're out in the crowd, take a picture, and all of a sudden you realize you want to take a picture, but you need to stop and get approval from the person in order to get the photo. And sometimes it destroys the spontaneous aspect.
You know how I handle that? Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I didn't know I wasn't allowed to take a photo here. That's what I do a lot of times. I just go for it. Because a lot of times, I'm not kidding, if you have a camera, a lot of times people want you to take, unless, you know, obviously it's like security or something. I mean, don't go like to TSA and be like, I've got a camera, I'm going over. I mean, that's not good. But a lot of times, if I'm walking around with that camera, I can basically go almost anywhere I want and no one's going to question me. So don't be afraid to be like, hey, I'm just taking a photo real fast and act like you're supposed to be there. Because if you're not supposed to be there, they're going to tell you point blank no. So I won't let that hold you back. Just like go for it.
That's not the question.
Yes.
It is,
Bring it.
I'm in a room, I don't really want you to take my picture. So I am a little bit uncomfortable
Yeah.
making someone the star
Yeah.
if you haven't asked their permission. Not everybody wants to have a picture.
Right. That's a totally legit thing. Anybody else encounter that as you're going through? Let me tell you how I've been dealing with that this weekend. Because I can tell, like, if I were to come take a photo of you on the end and you started to do this and turn your back to me, I would know immediately that I was making you uncomfortable. Or there's sometimes people, like when I've been shooting in the other rooms, you guys have probably seen me come in. I try to be quiet. We've slammed so many doors trying to sneak in and out. But I can tell by somebody's body language, like, oh, you're in my personal space. So as a photographer, what I notice is that that what I do is a very, very personal thing. So if I can be really in tune to who's around me, where my camera's pointing, and I don't look. Okay, he's not in here. I was taking a photo over here earlier. It was a crowd photo of one of the speakers. And there was a guy going to get in, like he was getting his laptop, and he saw me, and he went, and then I took the photo and walked away, and he goes right back in his bag. So if you can read that from someone, or, you know, another thing that I do, because I do a lot of portraits, I would say to you, tell me what makes you uncomfortable about having your photo taken. And then I would try to love you through that and talk you through it. And right, like I'm totally not peer pressuring you at all. But what I would do is like find out what you don't like about it, because how many of you feel really comfortable in front of a camera? Some of you do. I personally do not. Poor Katie has been like, you need to stop moving and stop making stupid faces. Because I feel uncomfortable in front of the camera, and that's a really, really real thing. So I think that's something you need to remember if you're photographing people, or if you have a product base, like if you sell jewelry, well obviously you have to have a model. Most likely, especially if you're starting out, that model's not going to be a pro. It's going to be one of your friends who feels really stupid and is like, tell me what to do. Hold up the ring. Okay. Is this good? So you have to learn to like talk to people and read their body language. And when I'm interacting with people, this is kind of a sidebar from what we're doing here, but we're at the beginning slide again, that's fine. But as I'm talking to people, I'm interacting and letting them know that I am a person and I'm a human. And I'm talking about like, oh my gosh, your hair looks so funny, and tell me about this, and I'll tell them a stupid story about my kid, to get them off the fact that I have a big old camera in their face. Okay, those are great questions. Any other questions you guys want to throw out before we get going? Those are great. Anything else? Did I hold still long enough? Yeah?
Just making sure you have the right settings.
Oh, making sure you have the right settings. Oh, that's a big one. Yes, that is just a matter of practicing. And I'm going to show you guys or tell you guys about an app that I use. Actually, if you have your phone handy, and I don't know if this is an Android app, so if it's not, let me know. We'll see if we can find another one. I love to use the app Camera Plus on my phone because you have a whole lot of control. It's literally the word camera and then the plus sign. I think it's $1.99 or 99 cents. Very, very valuable. I go in there and you can edit exposure. If you know what that word means, you can edit exposure, contrast, saturation. Basically, everything that I can do in Lightroom or Photoshop, but it's a smartphone condensed version. So I'm not telling you like, hey, edit your pro photos on your phone, obviously. But if you are doing something that you're going to put on Instagram or on Twitter, by all means, that app is going to be your best friend. Okay, any other questions before we want to get going? No? Okay, good. Well, let's see if I can get back to the slide I'm supposed to be on. Okay. So the first thing that you want to do when you are getting ready to take a photo, this is actually the 5-step process that I mentally go through when I take a photo. Because remember I said I want you to stop and think. If you stop and think, you're going to be just fine. So the first thing that you need to do is you literally need to decide, what am I taking a photo of? Okay, and that sounds like such a basic, easy question. But think about when you see someone's vacation photos on Facebook, and it's like 5,000 photos, and there's maybe 3 or 4 relevant or good ones. Anybody had that happen? And you're like, why did you post all these? It's because they were just taking photos and posting them. As a small business owner, if you are spamming people on social media or on your blog, there's like 10 photos, and you really could have gotten away with 1 or 2, you're going to turn off your audience. So you need to just stop and ask yourself, what is my superstar? So in this case right here, has anybody heard of Zebra Girl Boutique in Centerville? No? Oh my gosh, ladies, you need to shop there. Guys, you need to buy the girls in your life stuff from there. It's like the best shop. Actually, this shirt's from there. They have these really cool flasks, and they have these fun sweaters on them. Now, when I walked into this shop, because we teamed up for this photo shoot, when I walked in, there was all kinds of other things on the table. And in person, it looked wonderful. But if you think about your audience looking at your things online or on your social media pages, they don't have the benefit of being able to like walk around the table and pick something up and feel it. You have to give them that opportunity to easily and clearly see what it is that you want them to focus on. So when you are taking photos, the first question you need to ask yourself is, who or what is my superstar? Once that is clear in your mind, then you can proceed. And in the workshop I talk about, you gotta find your Beyonce. Beyonce has backup dancers, but they are way far behind her, okay? You need to find your Beyonce people. So the next thing that you're gonna wanna do is once you pick your superstar, you're gonna wanna look for good light. Well, what does the word photography mean? You can tell me again. I told you at the beginning. What does the word photography mean? To draw or to?
Paint with light.
Good, thank you. Teacher's pet. Okay, sorry, we've been outranked as teacher's pet now. We'll come back to you. I know, I'm sorry, I'm really sorry. We'll maybe you'll come back up. So you need to find good light. Now, Katie and I have been talking. The light inside here is horrendous. And if you've taken some photos, they probably look green or yellow, or if you are taking photos with the projectors, I don't know if you guys have noticed this yet, sometimes, and you can even try it right now, it's kind of interesting, one photo of the screen will be green, the next one might be pink, and then the next one up to here might be yellow, because fluorescent lights, I don't know if you guys know this, they flicker. We can't see it, but you can take the same photo or the same shot over and over and over and over, and we can even show you on the camera if you're curious about this. Each photo will look completely different because the fluorescent lights are flickering, okay? The other thing that comes in, everybody go ahead and look up. If you look at the recessed lights that are actually in the ceiling, those have a very warm color to them. Think of like sunlight or a natural sunlight coming through. That's kind of a warm color, but if you look at the track lighting around those squares, that's more of a cool light. You guys seeing the difference between those two temperatures? So what's going to happen in an inside place like this is your colors are probably going to be a little bit off. So the best thing that you can always do is get to natural light if you can. That's not always possible. And if it's not possible, I can show you ways to problem solve that. But if you can find natural light, that is the absolute best thing that you can do. So I tell people, if you are taking photos at your house, go out on your patio. I've shot outside in the snow because the white reflects gorgeous color, and nobody has to know that there's snow. If I shoot the right way, nobody's going to know. Anybody else had you guys take a couple of head nods? Have you done something like that before?
I've used the light from the snow for my YouTube videos.
Absolutely.
Like, through the window.
It's a natural reflector. If you guys have taken photos like inside but you're next to a window, you know how you get that really harsh shadowing that comes in? Well, you've probably seen like photographers holding a big round things. Those are called reflectors. Those are like 80 to 100 bucks for a big nice reflector. You can also use a piece of foam core, and that's like 2 to 3 bucks. And so if the window was here and I had shadowing on this side of my face, what I could do is put a piece of foam core right here. If you think about geometry from middle school, the light's going to come in, and where's it going to bounce? Right back in here to fill some of that light. Now, it's not going to light it the same way this side of your face will be lit, but it will fill in some of those shadows. So always try to either find or make good light as you are taking your photos, okay? Third step is you are going to set the stage. So once you've found your Beyonce, and you've found good light for Beyonce, now you need to think about what is actually going to go into your photo. So in this one right here, one of my friends sells doTERRA oils, and she was making these dryer balls. You like take wool, you wrap them up, you put the oils on them, and you put them in the dryer, so you don't have to use dryer sheets, and it kind of makes your laundry smell awesome. And so she wanted some photos for her page, and I was like, okay, well, we got to think about what we're going to put in this photo to tell a story. I could have simply taken a picture of the wool ball, but that wouldn't have been very exciting. Or I could have taken a photo of the oils. Again, not very exciting. In the full version of this photo, you can actually see the dryer, you can see the clay bowl, which kind of hints at something being handmade or DIY. And this tells a little bit of a story. Even if you don't necessarily know what this product is about, when I give you the description and say, oh, this is a wool dryer ball, oh, you have more details here. You want to think of a photo. What I tell people is, you want to be able to give a photo, like pretend you're giving a photo to a third grader. You want to be able to say, hey, write me a story based on that photo. If you have enough details that they could write a story, you've got enough details for your audience. If your audience can't look at your photo and kind of start to think about it and fall in love with it, see how it can play into their own lives, you're not going to have the emotional response that you want. Now, obviously, you're not looking at this like, oh, I love those. But you're starting to tell a story, and you are starting to respond to it. Now, I think, does anybody have an Etsy shop? Anybody work on Etsy in here? A couple people? Yeah. I think in Etsy, one of the rules is you can't have anything else in the photo, correct, besides what you're selling? Is that one of the rules?
That's on Amazon.
Amazon? Okay. So just be mindful of wherever you are posting or selling. If there are guidelines, obviously be really aware of those. But if you don't have those guidelines, think about how can you set your stage for your product. Okay? All right. Next step, upgrading your camera. Now, obviously, working with a DSLR, and that's what Katie has back there, the big girl cameras or the big boy cameras. Those are the best ones to work with. They have come down in price so much. You get them for like $300-400 to get a decent setup, okay? So think about getting a DSLR. There are point-and-shoot cameras, however, that are just as amazing. If you're just doing product photography or you need to record some videos, do you know what the Canon, there's like a point videos, like a high res.
I use my cell phone, so I don't
For your
know.
video, yeah. So don't be afraid, like just go to Best Buy and say, hey, here's what I'm doing, here's what I need, and they can definitely give you some recommendations. But those point and choose cameras, the nicer ones, are almost comparable with the prices of the DSLR. If I were you, I would hold out, save up a little bit more, and invest in that DSLR. If you are thinking about making that purchase, on my YouTube channel, I have 2 different videos that talk you through the questions you should ask yourself as you're making that purchase, because it is a pretty big investment. Okay, so upgrading your camera. Let's say you don't have the funds to get a big DSLR or another point and shoot. If you just simply upgrade the app on your phone, the standard camera that comes on the iPhones is okay. Okay? If you can upgrade to Camera Plus, or who has another camera app that you guys enjoy using? Do we have another camera app that they use? Afterlight. Okay. Anything else? Does everybody use their standard camera on their phone? Standard app? Okay. I would really encourage you guys to upgrade your camera app, because I think once you get into those settings and see all the control that you have, one of the cool things that I love about Camera Plus is I can shoot in a rectangular ratio, which is what we're used to. We're going to talk about this in a second. I can also change it to a square ratio. So if I know for sure that I'm going to Instagram, I can switch it to square. It also has a self-timer. So instead of getting the selfies like this, you can literally crop it on something and back up. You got the self-timer. So you have a lot more control, a lot more options in your photos. The other thing that you should be aware of, you guys know on the iPhones, most of them, there's 2 cameras, right? If you have one of the current ones, there's 2 cameras. There's the selfie one, and then the one on the front, okay? The camera on the front, where you cannot, like if I'm doing a selfie and I cannot see myself, this camera quality is leaps and bounds better than your selfie, okay? So if you can, at any point, use the camera on the front, that one is going to be so much better quality, especially if you are vlogging or selling something. This is the one that you're going to want to use, all right? Okay, so the next step that I go through, and we're going to put this all together, is remembering your ratios. This is humongous if you are working on it. Are you guys active on social media? Enjoy it like I do. I know you're all on Twitter. Twitter is like really, Twitter and WordPress are so new for me. Katie and I were sitting back and I was like, how do I do this? Because they're so foreign to me. Instagram, Facebook, oh my gosh, I'm on those things all the time. But one of the cool things with your Camera Plus app is that you can take a photo meant for those different social media platforms, okay? Has anybody ever taken a photo of something and you go to put it on Instagram or Twitter, and whatever it is that you're trying to put in your photo doesn't fit? Has anybody had that? And you want to like have a fit because it doesn't fit? Yes? Okay. So what you have to do is you always have to stop and think and remember your ratios. This is the biggest time saver that I'm going to give you throughout this 45 minutes. Remember your ratios, okay? So up here you see this cupcake photo. When I took this photo, I actually ended up taking 10 photos of the exact same cupcake. None of them was tremendously exciting on their own, but what I was doing is I was building myself a stock photo library. I've heard you guys talking a lot throughout the course of this workshop, is free websites to get photos from, or having a stock photo library. You guys have all done that, right? You've been like looking for a specific photo and you go out there, no, that's not it, no, that's not it, no, that's... Well, what if you have your own stock photo library of your products and your photos? So what I encourage people to do is think about your ratios. Okay, if I'm taking a photo of this cupcake and it's going to go on Instagram, it needs to be a what shape? A what shape? Square. A square, thank you. Teacher's pet. I'm sorry, you've been demoted. Okay, teacher's pet over here. So it needs to be a square. So I put that square right here and took a photo. Now, I also thought ahead and I was like, okay, well maybe I want to use this cupcake in a couple weeks and I want to put some word art on top of it. So then I took the next photo, and instead of cropping it so it was in the middle, I cropped it so the edge of the photo was right there. And I just had part of the cupcake and a whole bunch of room over here because I knew in my head, okay, later I can go back in and I can add some word art to that. If I'm posting on Twitter, what is my preview shape going to be? This is not a trick question. If you're posting on Twitter, yes, are we awake? Yes? No. Do I need to do some cartwheels to get your attention? Yes? No? Okay, what do we see on Twitter? You can click on the photo and it goes to what? Rectangle, okay, or square, whatever you have posted. But if you look at the preview on a Twitter photo, usually it's almost like a panoramic shape, right? So think ahead. If I was taking a panoramic and I needed this to fit, would this whole photo fit in there? Would it crop up part of my cupcake? So what I'm going to do in that case, I'm going to back up without falling off the stage. I'm going to take a wider photo. I'm going to have more at the bottom and the top than I need, but I know in my head that that's going to get cut off. So if you think ahead and take 10 photos of the same thing, yeah, you might only use one of them right now, but maybe in a couple of weeks you need to to do a post, or like right now I'm promoting my spring sessions. So I took photos back in the fall, knowing in my head, oh my gosh, I can use this in the spring. So always be thinking ahead and building yourself a stock library of your own photos and thinking about the ratios of where you're going to be posting. All right? Next time you take a photo and you remember that, you're going to go, yes, I promise, remember that. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to apply this, okay? And what I love about this little assignment is this photo situation right here is horrendous. So if you can take a good photo right now and be creative right now, when you get out into pretty natural light with your own fabulous products or your own blog content, you are going to be able to take a much better photo if you can make a crummy one from this room work. So here's what I want you to do. Everybody grab your phone. And I'm going to give you 2 minutes, okay? You are going to craft a post for social media. I don't care where you post it, but I want you to craft a post. Now, this is not all about me. I'm talking about getting value, okay? I want this to have value for you and for your audience. Because let's be honest, on all of our news feeds, including my own, hey, I'm at WordCamp, hey, I'm at WordCamp, look, I'm on this panel. Okay, we all think that's great. What do you think your audience is thinking after the first photo or the second photo? Do you think they're as excited as we are? Probably not. So what I want you to do is I want you to think right now in your head. First question, who is my ideal client? Who am I talking to? So right now in your head, think about that. Who is your client? Okay, is it for me, my biggest question is, am I talking to my soccer moms or am I talking to my other photographers? 2 very different audiences. So right now I want you to think about where are you going to post this? Who's your audience? Okay? Everybody have that person in your head? Yes? Kind of, sort of. Okay, it'll come to you. Second thing that I want you to do is I want you to think about what kind of value can you give from this workshop. Maybe it's mine, like, oh my gosh, remember your ratios. Maybe it's Ryan's, where he was talking about giving value, finding the URL for your kids. Like Katie and I were both back there like Googling our kids, or I was Googling my kid's name, she was Googling her name. Like, oh my gosh, that's kind of a really great idea. So remember at the beginning of this workshop, and I had you turn to your buddy and tell them your biggest takeaway? I either want you to use that takeaway or something that you've used or you've learned from the last half hour with me. So right now, think in your head, what is something that you have found to be of value that you also think your viewers will find of value? Okay, are you with me? Do you understand your topic? What we're taking a photo of? Yes? Kind of? I see some confused faces. Yes, we good? Okay, so now what I want you to do is I want you to open your Word Art app if you have one. If you don't have one and you don't feel like investing in one right now, it's totally fine. You just post a photo. It's totally cool. But here's what I want you to do. I want you to go through those 5 steps. You have them on your computer. You have them on your device. I want you to mentally walk through those 5 steps. What is my superstar? Where can I find the best light? I'm inside. It's crummy. Is it going to up here getting in the shadows going to be good, or is it going to be better out here? Or is it going to be better in front of the projector? Find the best light or make the best light you can. You can even hold up a white piece of paper, kind of bounce some more light on your subject if you feel like being crazy. Or that notebook right there that Katie has, she could even prop that up like this to bounce some light in there. So try to find or make good light. Then set the stage. Maybe you take your badge and you put that next to it. Maybe you take off the swag and you put that, or maybe you have your notes. Think about what you can put in your photo to make it more interesting for your viewers. Okay? Any questions? So I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes. I want you to get up. Don't all run away because you don't want to do homework assignment. So I want you to get up, get your cameras, and I want you to find something to take a photo. So here's some ideas. You can take a selfie. You can come up and take a selfie with me because you know I love those. I have the hashtag sign up here. You can do a photo of your notes. Find a cool texture. Sometimes just a cool texture with text on top, like the doors over there might not be bad. Even the carpet isn't too hateful. And I have to tell you, this wall over here specifically in this corner photographs beautifully. I don't know why. There's something about the light and the color. It looks really, really great over here. It's a good background texture. So what I want you to do right now, you have 2 minutes. Everybody stand up. I'm so not kidding. Stand up. Grab your phone. You've got 2 minutes to get a good photo. Oh, look, Nate and Brian. They would be good subjects too. Woohoo! Supermodels! So take off your badge. Yes.
Hey, Jeff.
That's like,
Jeff and I
Unless my phone's like at 30%.
They tell you for paying attention. So where do those business going on? I guess
You got the pen? Yeah, thank you. Turn over that one too.
Oh, Apple's on there. Sorry, you guys. No. You're supposed to sit there, be quiet, and listen to speak. No question. Thank you, guys. This will be easy. We're insurance.
That's not what I'm doing.
Good.
Yeah, it's still recording.
Is that what's left?
I'm going to give you guys about 30 more seconds. Once you have your photo, come on back to your seat and start crafting a good pose. I'm going to come right back to you. I'm going to change the slide. What I want you to ask yourself is, how can I give value to my audience? So now you have your photo.
This is the, remember.
There we go. So think about how can you craft your post, giving to your audience. So take and make your biggest takeaway from this specific workshop or from the workshop in general. Save it as a new photo and then start posting it on social media using the strategies that we've talked about. Okay? Where did he go?
Who he?
My friend that I was just talking to. You guys all look so intense, so serious. Anybody have questions, need help?
You want us to post this?
If you want to, it's up to you.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if you're adding value to your clients or to your audience, I would say absolutely, but I don't.
So for you, Joe, no.
You need a photo of this.
Oh, I'm just running the camera, sir. Sir.
So if you feel comfortable, I would say go ahead and post that bad boy. And as they were talking about earlier, don't be afraid to hit the publish button. Don't be afraid to be a human. I was talking about in line earlier, we have a 9-year-old chocolate lab named Napoleon. Not because he has an inferiority complex or a short complex, but because he's big and silly. You've seen Napoleon Dynamite. And a couple of months ago, just on a whim, I took him to Starbucks. So we went through the drive-thru and I got him a puppy whip. If you don't know this, Starbucks will give you free whipped cream for your dog. My 90-pound lab is like, oh my gosh, do you think they see me? Do you think they see me? And he's like waiting for this puppy whip. So I thought it was hilarious. So I took a photo and posted it on my professional Instagram feed because I am huge, and if you were here yesterday, you heard me talk about this. I am huge on being a real person, a real human being. Because if you're this untouchable brand, people aren't going to fall in love with you. If you are a real person and you're showing them who you are and what you do behind the scenes, they love that. So I posted this silly photo of my dog, and once you guys know it, I look at, as hopefully you guys all do, you look at your stats and your numbers. Well, I looked at my Instagram stats out of all of my photos, and I have some darn good photos up there. Out of all of my photos ever, 2 of them are me and my stupid dog getting puppy whipped at Starbucks. Because it's the human element that people love. And when I run into people and they tell me like, oh, I follow you on Instagram, they're like, and you know what my favorite things are? It's the photos of you and your dog. I love it. So you'd be amazed at how much people love to see that human element. One of my clients is actually a high-end real estate agent out in Boston, and she sells multi-million-dollar homes. And she sells not just the home, but she's selling a lifestyle. She's selling luxury. And so everything she posts is meticulous, from her hair to her makeup, to her clothes, to her wedding ring, to her car. Everything is thought about, everything is placed. And she has a lot of followers. But you guys know her most engaged photo? So when she was running the Boston Marathon and she was crossing the finish line and she was sweaty and disgusting and horribly embarrassed about how she looked, and we were all like, post it, post it, post it. And guess what? It's her #1 photo. People like the human element. If you make a mistake, oh my gosh, you guys, I made a mistake. Can you believe I spelled there the wrong way? Like, people love that because it makes them feel not so bad when they make a mistake. So don't be afraid to be human and make a mistake. Yeah? Okay. Who has posted a photo so far? Anybody been brave? Yeah. Teacher's pet, teacher's pet! Yes! You're back! Back with the vengeance. Very good. Okay, so let me look at what time we have here. Oh my gosh, like 4 minutes left. Yes! So here's what I want you guys to do. If you have posted that on social media, I would love for you, if you've not already done it, or if you can go back, make sure you use hashtag immersed workshops. Let me pull this up. Use the hashtag immersed workshops, because that way I can see it and I can come in and give you some feedback if you want it. This is also a good way to connect with some of the other people that were in this workshop and kind of grow and encourage each other. So what I would love for you guys to do, if you're on Instagram or Twitter, look up that hashtag and go show some of the other people in this class a little bit of love, because we all love it when that little star lights up or that little heart lights up and you see people, someone liked your photo. It's really exciting. So go ahead and give each other a little bit of love. All right, one more thing before I let you all out of here. Okay, so where do we go from here? Hopefully this was of value to you. Hopefully you got some content out of what I talked about today. If you have some more questions, or if you're like, you know what, I really want to go more into this, I do have a 6-week e-course that details all of these into much more detail. You get an email from me, you get an assignment, we have a private Facebook group where you get feedback from me, like, what about this? How about if you hashtagged this? What if you edited your photo this way? And every week you get a video from me. Each week's about a 10-minute video, along with sample photos and detailed instructions about how to do exactly what it is that I did. So if you enjoy this and you do want to know more about it, you absolutely have that opportunity. So the course is normally $59. I have it on sale for $39. There's a coupon code on the website that you guys have on your screens. If you scroll down below that little graphic, there is a buy now course. I think it says claim my seat. And if you go down further, like if you're like, well, I don't know, and you just want to get more information, there is a place for you to do that as well. And I'll send you, if you sign up for that list, you do get the PDF that we looked at that you have on your screen right now. It will email that directly to you. Okay, and if you want even more, I know some of you, I know you guys are here photographers, so if you're ready for more of a beginning photography class, if this was too basic for you, I do have one of those coming this summer. Okay, please, stay in touch. I have all my social media links here. I've got cards up here that you guys can come grab, but please stay in touch. The one thing that I hope I've communicated to you guys is I want you guys to find value. I've said that like 10 bazillion times, but I am here to be your biggest cheerleader. I find such great joy in like cheering you guys along in your journeys. So if you have a question that pops up, go ahead, tag me, like, hey, Adamers Photography, what do you think of this photo? Hey, Adamers Photography, how should I? Send me a message, send me a direct message, send me whatever you need to do. I am here to be your biggest cheerleader. And if you have a question, I would rather you come to me so that I can give you awesome advice rather than having to get on Google everything and find it all on your own. I'm here for you to support you along your journey. Okay? Cool? Questions? Anybody up for a little show and tell? I know some of you are done, you're ready to go to the bathroom and get cookies or whatever. Anybody want to show and tell?
I have a question.
Bring it.
You take a lot of pictures. How do you organize them and store them so you don't lose track of what's
Whoa. That is a mondo question. Hold that. I'm going to answer that. Hold that thought. I'm going to let people go. Any other like basic questions? If you want to hear the answer, by all means, stick around. But I don't want to hold you guys if you're ready to go. Anybody else? Generic questions? All right, thank you guys for joining me. If you need to go ahead and go, and I will totally answer that question. So if you need to get up and go, it's not going to hurt my feelings, you can. So I use Lightroom. My camera takes photos that are about 30 megabytes each. That is a whole, you should see my computer. I have several terabyte hard drives all daisy-chained together. So I use a program called Lightroom. It is like Photoshop specifically meant for photography. The cool thing about it is it's like $99 if you buy it full price, or you can do the cloud, Creative Cloud. I think you get it like a photographer package for it. It's Photoshop and Lightroom for $10 a month, or sometimes it's $20 a month. It's actually a great deal. I tell people never to invest in Photoshop unless you are willing to take the time to learn it. Has anybody worked in Photoshop? Yeah. Oh, that makes me so happy. You guys know it. I can't tell you how many times I have, and you guys can validate for this. I can't tell you how many times I have soccer moms come to my class. They're like, "Oh, I bought Photoshop," and I don't know what to do because it's not a how-to program. You have to know what you're doing. So if you were working in photography, you guys have probably worked in Camera Raw then in Photoshop. Oh my gosh, this makes me so excited. You guys know what I'm saying right now. So Lightroom is like Camera Raw on crack. You can do all like this. You got slider bars. You can fine tune sharpness, clarity, saturation. You can desaturate certain colors. You can change the hue of certain colors. You can add a vignette. Please don't ever add a white vignette. Look at the person next to you and say, "No white vignettes." I will disown you. I will disown you if I see you. So no, that means a white border around the edges, like the little Olin Mills take a white border. Don't do that. Yes.
Do you use presets?
I do.
Good.
I do use presets too. Okay, so presets. Well, let me come back to your question. Okay, so I organize with keywords. In Lightroom, you have what's called a catalog. It's basically like a big library of all your photos. A lot of my friends have one catalog per client. That is not how, who's familiar with Lightroom? Anybody, a couple of you? Good. That is not how Lightroom was designed. If you look at Julianne, I think it's Coast, is that how you say it, Julianne Coast? She's like the Lightroom evangelist. She will tell you that Lightroom was meant to handle and store thousands of photos. If I had my hard drive up here, I would plug it in and show you. So I have 18,000 photos in my Lightroom catalog, and those are just the good ones that I kept. I'm ruthless, and I probably cut out 2/3 of my photos. So what I do is upon import, I apply keywords, very similar to what we were talking about, a lot of the WordPress things. So I will put, I might put Kirk family, spring 2015, immersive photography. I will give it all of those labels because then, remember at the beginning I talked about how I took photos last fall to use this spring? Well, back in the fall I could label it spring kickoff, spring sessions. And so what I can do is I can look by my keyword and I can look up spring session and every photo that I've labeled that will pop up. So I don't have to just label it, and I can search then by keywords, so I can still get a family. I can still get their 30 photos up on my screen with no problem, but I have all my photos to work in. Okay? Does that give you a little taste?
A little, because I try keywords, but there's just so many pictures. It's like, what date did I take it? When did it happen?
Yeah. Get as specific as you can. Like some of my photos will have 30. Wow. Can you tell it's the end of the weekend? 30 keywords on there, because the more specific you are, you can also look up by metadata. So I can, like, if I shoot a wedding, I'll have 2, sometimes 3 photographers and Katie shooting with us. I can look up by camera model. I can look up by lens. You can get into the nitty-gritty of it's a powerful, powerful program. I've given you like a teensy bit. Like if I were you, I would look up Julianne Coast. I think it's Kost. Can anybody back me up on that? You know? Yeah. Look her up. She's got tons of videos. She's amazing. Question over here. Who was it? If you need to stop recording, that's okay.
No, we need to get set up for the next one.
Oh, I was just kidding. If you've got questions, let's go back to the corner. Sorry. Thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate it.